Yeah, so I'm here with a few different hats on. Do I have to stand here? I work for the Adelaide Festival and also Green Music Australia and Creative Climate Action, which is kind of just for myself, working with a bunch of artists and arts organisations. And I guess the arts kind of role in this whole journey is that space of showing the better world of the future. And there's lots of exciting things going on, especially in South Australia in this space at the moment. But today I'm going to focus on climate action and life on land, because whilst there's lots of challenges and amazing initiatives happening in the arts and cultural sector, I think one thing that we all have in common is an audience, and we also have a platform, most of the time anyway. And if we can centre First Nations voices and environmental protection at the heart of all decision making, not only within our organisations, but also bring our audiences along on that journey with us, then I think that we've got a real shot at a much better world. So I'm going to do a quick snapshot of some of the things the festival's doing, as well as Adelaide Fringe, who are kicking some pretty amazing goals in this space. And then I'll show you some examples of climate action and life on land. Okay, so this is the sustainability wrap from the Adelaide Festival of this year. And we have been carbon neutral since 2019, which was a really big and important step in the right direction, but by no means represents the end of our journey. And one kind of key take out of that, which translates to a lot of live music events and performances, is that one of our major impacts is audience travel. So whilst we can't do a lot to directly impact that, we can't control how people get to our shows, but we can engage our audiences and our artists and our crew on looking at offsetting their own travel to performances, but also linking them up with more broader kind of climate action campaigns and initiatives. So this year we teamed up with an amazing company called Reforest, and it's basically an app that you can plant trees through. And we teamed up with them to put QR codes at all of our venues that audience members could scan and plant trees through. But we also started to support Reforest ourselves outside of offset units as well. A couple of other things we've done is we're looking to implement an 80% vegetarian policy across all of our corporate hospitality functions and events. And that's also focusing on local produce as well. So obviously that has a big impact on emissions, but also it just supports local economies. And I think in South Australia, we're very blessed to have amazing producers really, really close to us. We also switched our default super fund for our artists to an ethical fund, and we also switched our bank to make sure that all the money that we're using is going in the right place. And we also reduced our artist merchandise by a huge amount simply by asking artists if they wanted tote bags and water bottles and merchandise. A lot of the time we just gave it to them automatically, and people don't always need that much stuff. But that's a quick snapshot of some of the things we're doing. And I'll jump on to, so this is what we did with Reforest, and this is an example of the QR codes that we had. And it was the first year we did it, so we planted about 500 trees through audience engagement, and hopefully that will build year on year. But I guess this was like two pieces. One, it was helping to plant trees and look after our environment, but it also helps to build a bit of awareness and engagement on what people are doing and how they're getting to our shows. So they can look at their transport, they can look at their food, they can look at flights, and they can engage with the app to plant trees, but also reduce what they're doing. So maybe fly less or drive less or ride to shows or catch public transport. This is just one piece of the puzzle, but I think it's a really exciting way forwards. And this is a little snapshot of the incredible Fringe's sustainability action plan. And as you can see, it's very aligned to some of the key global goals. And there's a little clip next which will explain it better.
What does the Adelaide Fringe Sustainability Action Plan mean?
As the first festival in Adelaide to align with the UN global goals, it means being a leader in the fringe and festival circuit nationally and internationally, and encouraging our partners and other companies to adopt sustainable practices.
Measuring the impact Fringe has on the broader mental health and wellbeing of Fringe goers. It means ensuring at least half of full-time Fringe staff are qualified in mental health first aid. It means increasing the opportunity for social connection amongst Fringe staff and volunteers. It means understanding how Fringe can improve its promotion of good mental health and wellbeing to our artists, venues and audiences.
It means sharing the message of how to be a good Fringe goer, including how to be COVID safe and encouraging responsible consumption.
It means providing a professional development series for Fringe artists and venues to foster, upskill and train creative entrepreneurs.
It means distributing grants to artists, venues and producers to help support their work and make their Fringe seasons financially sustainable.
It means making our recruitment process accessible and inclusive for all applicants. It means mapping out future employment opportunities for contracted staff and providing paid traineeships through the AFL Arts Ready program.
It means supporting local vulnerable communities, encouraging Fringe participation throughout regional communities and promoting this to drive local tourism and employment opportunities.
It means implementing and reporting on our Reconciliation Action Plan and Disability Access Inclusion Plan.
It means engaging with external partners to ensure Fringe can be more accessible to a diverse range of audiences, including culturally and linguistically diverse communities.
It means all Fringe managed offices and work sites have accessible and gender neutral bathrooms as a standard. Full stop.
It means providing tickets through our community fund for disadvantaged groups, schools and individuals who may otherwise not be able to experience Adelaide Fringe.
It means sharing information on how to get to and around Fringe by encouraging the use of public transport, cycling, ride sharing and other means of affordable and sustainable transport and working with our partners to achieve this.
It means researching the sustainable practice of SA waste management companies. It means sharing this info with our artists and venues using preventative measures to reduce waste and making all of our stakeholders accountable through Environmental Code of Conduct.
It means taking urgent action on climate change, including reducing, offsetting our total energy usage and using hybrid or electric vehicles where possible.
It means getting our partners on board to help us achieve these goals and ensure our values align.
Today we recognise
United Nations Day!
Cool. So I think this plan is incredible. They launched it in October, I think, so only a few weeks ago. And it's really exciting to just see this kind of leadership in this space. And Adelaide Festival is now currently in the process of aligning our own environmental action plan to the UN global goals. And it's just been really helpful internally when you there's a lot of frameworks out there and a lot of ways that you can start to take action, but having that global framework, which, that global to-do list, I think someone said, is really helpful, not only to convince people internally that it's really important, but it also just ticks every single box and shows you how intersectional it is. And I think in South Australia, we're definitely moving to a place of huge collaboration in the arts as well, to support each other, not only with information and resource sharing, but things like bulk buying electric vehicles that people can share or having a reusable cup system that people can share as well. So I think there's a lot of exciting things in the future. And some of the work that I've been focusing on with smaller arts groups and arts organisations and musicians is looking at the way that we tour differently as well. So I think it was said at the beginning, looking at business and how we can start to do things differently, I think is really important, because we can plant as many trees as we want and go plastic free and look at waste and look at energy. But I think at the end of the day, we just really need to slow down a little bit as well and look at degrowth. And one of the things I'd love to see in the future with touring and music is more bush regeneration and tree planting activations with all of the artists, but also audience members. So I'll jump to show you a couple of examples of initiatives that have happened, in the past. This was the Adelaide Festival Tree Planting Day that we did last year. And we planted 500 tree oaks up at a property in the hills, which was severely affected by the fires. And it wasn't only a really great chance to kind of hang out with your co-workers and get outside and get your hands dirty, but a lot of these plots are really struggling all year round outside of the tree plantings with things like weeding and mulching and land care, and there's so much that goes into supporting them. So I feel like if every arts organisation or every organisation did this kind of thing and it was part of business moving forwards, it's just an awesome way to protect nature but also connect with nature. This I'm about to play a little clip as well of Girls Rock Adelaide, and they went up to a BioR project to help with weeding for the day. And Sook Workwear actually sponsored the day, which was amazing, and I'll show you the clip now.
So at all of our programs we talk about there being a strong link between music and activism. One of the more pressing challenges of our generation is definitely sustainability. So we are out here today on Ngarrindjeri land with BioR trying to practice what we preach and offset some of the ecological impacts from our winter rock camp.
BioR is a habitat restoration organisation, so we put back biodiversity in areas around Adelaide and South Australia. Girls Rock, wonderful organisations, come out to help us with some of the weeding of our planted areas. It's really nice to have lots of hands out here to help us.
We're here to learn and we're really grateful for that opportunity.
We're especially stoked because Sook has donated a whole bunch of boiler suits and overalls for us to wear, so we get to look good and feel good while we do good.
I'm going to try and whiz through these really quickly, but Anna is my cousin, so there was a little bit of teamwork on that one. And this is a picture of the first event that we did 2 years ago now, actually, at a beautiful property down in McLaren Vale called Lot 50 Gunyanapilla. And Gavin Malone on the left is the landowner. That's me and Tim Minchin. To kick off his back tour when they came to South Australia, we went down south and planted 500 trees. There was about 20 of us, of band and crew and some volunteers. And it took about 3 hours to get the plants in the ground. There was 20 different types of different native species. And Carl Telfer had a beautiful welcome to country and cultural walk on the day as well. And Carl's actually now been given back land rights to the adjoining property, which is probably the first time that's ever happened in history of this scale. So it's hugely exciting. But we planted the trees about 2 years ago, and already the red river gums are like 3 times the size. They're taller than me now. You were there on Saturday, yeah. They're huge, and it's. I think Tim always chats about this still since that planting day. A lot of them hadn't ever planted a tree or been outside in that capacity. So I think the effects are long lasting, and it helps people get really excited about what we need to protect. And the plot itself has had a lot of volunteers come and help with mulching and weeding. Slingsby Theatre Co has gone down there. They're going again in 2 weeks. The Kinetic Collective as well, they helped move a huge pile of biochar. And I think the more this stuff starts to happen, it just has this really beautiful ripple-on effect. This is a picture of the Kinetic Collective. It's pretty funny when you get a bunch of arts folks outside. But they had a great day. They took lots of photos. They popped it up on their socials. And since then, the impact of this plot has just grown. And this is just one example as well. There's thousands of regeneration projects out there that people kind of can help with and they need help with. So hopefully it continues. This is a really quick snap. Again, coming back to that advocacy piece with Green Music Australia. I think because so many artists have a large following on social media or a large platform, the more they talk about this kind of environmental action and linking their fans up to ways they can act in their own community is really exciting. This is an example of the Party with the Planet campaign, which tons of artists got on board. And it didn't work. Okay. Anyway, you can jump online and see this on the Party with the Planet website if you want. But all of the artists before Big Sound Music Festival got on board and basically told punters and audience members to take their rubbish home with them. And it was hugely successful because you think about 3 or 4 day music festivals that have camping involved, they can be very wasteful very quickly. All right. This next slide, this is from a biodiversity protection organisation called Wilderlands. And this is what the Adelaide Festival is working on supporting for our next festival, 23. So I guess going carbon neutral we buy offset units. Working with Reforest, we're looking to support reforestation in Australia. And this is another step in the right direction, looking to protect biodiversity. So we'll be supporting a plot in the Coorong Lakes with the Nurrungeri people up there, and also encouraging our audiences to do the same. So how it works is you can basically adopt a square metre of biodiversity, which I think is really important because, yes, we're in a climate crisis and carbon's really important to think about, but also biodiversity and habitat protection is very important and very urgent. And this is a way, I think, that we can help amplify that impact, because not everyone can go out and plant a tree or go out on the weekend and volunteer their time, but they can maybe support it financially. Okay, this is another picture of Tim and the crew with some of the seedlings that we were going to plant. And this weekend as well, we're doing a planting with some of the Harvest Rock artists in the local parklands as well, because Lot 50 is beautiful and amazing, but it is a bit of a drive out of town. So we're looking at how we can do these projects closer to the Adelaide CBD until solar electric buses are affordable and mainstream. But yeah, so I guess this is just touching on 2 of the SDGs, and there's so much more work going on in the arts sector to address so many other elements, like what Fringe is doing. But this is just there that I find really important and I'm passionate about. I hope that it's a trend that continues and we start to change some of the industry practices of touring. I think it's important that we bring arts and music and performances to people, but we just need to do it a little bit differently. But I think that with these sorts of initiatives, we can absolutely get there. So that's it. Yeah.